Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Global Entertainment News Breakfast Show, your daily dose of news and updates. I'm your host, Steven, and joining me today in the studio is
Bella.
we'll be taking today's story from Punch and Vanguard newspaper. Top stories from Punch. Nigeria loses $366 million as 16,000 doctors move abroad. The coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pate, said over 16,000 Nigerian doctors have left the country in the last 5 to 7 years to seek greener pastures in other countries. Professor Pat also said the doctor to population ratio is now 3.9 per 10,000 in the country, while the estimated cost of training one doctor exceeds $21,000. This was as he lamented that nurses and midwives who left have also thinned the number of healthcare workers in the country. The minister disclosed this in the seventh annual capacity building workshop of the Association of Medical Council of Africa in Abuja on Tuesday with the theme Integrated Healthcare Regulation and Leadership in Building Resilient Health System.
About this Japa of a thing. I don't think that it's only the doctors and the midwife and nurses are leaving the country this time around. Everybody that has the opportunity to leave the country, they will definitely want to leave the country. And then talking about 16,000 doctors has moved abroad. It's a big loss to Nigeria ourselves because first of all the salary is not benefiting them. There is no better training, there is no better equipment, and then they feels like if they move down to that outside country, that is where they are going to get a better payment and then better caring and all that. And I feel like we in Nigeria, we really need to put much more effort into the health sector, especially the doctors that are the few doctors that are available now, they are already being weighed out with stress, and then some are even dying of 24 hours work without rest. And then no, even the younger ones that are coming up now, they are not even ready to say that they want to stay in Nigeria to complete their education or started assisting in any Nigerian hospital. All they dream about is just to leave the country, and that is really a brain drain. Like it's draining a whole lot of our mentality, thinking that when the moment we move down to outside country, that is when the positive of changes will start coming in, and then we are not ready to develop our country as a.
So it's actually a sad one for a country like Nigeria and a top leading country in Africa to be having issues when it comes to health sectors. All
Exactly.
right, moving forward to our next story we have for you from Punch today. Kogi local government 3 billion naira laundered through private accounts. A prosecution witness, Remigus Ugu, on Tuesday narrated before a federal high court in Abuja how over 3 billion naira belonging to various local government areas in Kogi State was allegedly diverted and laundered through private accounts. Egu, a compliance officer with the Zen Bank, testified as the sixth prosecution witness in the ongoing trial of the Ali Bello, nephew to former Kogi Governor Yahaya Bello and current Chief of Staff of Governor Usman Ododo, along with Yakubu Isiaka, Adegbenige, Abba, Adaudu, and Iyaba Sadat. The Economic and Financial Commission is prosecuting the four of on an 18-count charge ordering of money laundering and misappropriation of public funds. I think this is very, very alarming, having seen this happening within the household of Yaya Bello, knowing that
Exactly.
with the kind of case he's having already in the court of money laundering, it's about 3 billion naira now being laundered by his nephew. So I think this is very alarming, and I think the government really needs to look into it because this family have really extorted a lot from this country, public fund, money laundering, and every sort of other things.
Well, talking about, I feel like this thing about the our leadership is that the moment they feel like they have the power into something, they tend to actually bring in their relatives and all that. That is going to be like another easy way that if they are taking their own, hiding it, their relative as well can be an assistant that is going to be helping them hiding another one. And I feels like this thing is not supposed to be anything, because if you're going to look at the city president, you find out that his children, his relative, almost all of them are now into politics. Those that know what is going on in politics, those that doesn't know in politics, they are now into it. And then it's very, very common among our Nigerians that the moment they are into any leadership, is now something that has to do with their entire household, that they will be bringing into it, so that whenever they are laundering the money, they can launder it in different corner, different accounts, because they are all related. That is not supposed to be so.
I think this is something that we are keen and used to in the country, and money laundering needs to stop. And the security agencies in charge of this, if they are not biased, I think everything will move fairly and um, equally. All right, moving up to another story from Punch. Nearly 100 dead in Dominican Republic. Nightclub roof collapse. Rescuers raced to find survivor early Wednesday after the roof of a Dominican Republic nightclub collapsed during a concert by popular singer Ruby Perez. One of the nearly 100 people killed in the disaster. Rescue workers were pressing on with the search efforts, which more than 24 hours after the roof caved in became to be limited more to recover bodies. Renowned Dominican Marigold singer Perez, who was on stage at the popular Jet Set nightclub when the roof collapsed shortly after midnight Tuesday, was on those killed. Wow, I think this is actually a very, very bad news.
Exactly. It's a sad one, because I feels like this time around, I don't even know how to even explain, because I feel like this time around, whatever they are using in building these days is not is not something good at all.
Apart from the structure or the equipment or the materials used in building, if an artist is well known, and this capacity of this artist can take a particular place, the mistake most producers and sorry the mistake most managers and events planners do is that when they know, it's just like having an artist like Davido, Wizkid or Burna Boy having a concert, and you're expecting them to have a concert inside an indoor room. If those kind of people are having a concert inside an indoor room, you are tend to the capacity of that place is tend to overdue, and the more people that comes into that kind of place, and it affects a lot. If I check, for instance, this capacity of this place now, you will see that it might be a story building or a building that has a building on it. If more people, if the capacity of that building can take 10,000 people, and 10,000 people start dancing, jumping on that building, I tell you the building is going to collapse. It's one of the mistakes people do make. Having a popular celebrity like that in an enclosed
Environment.
gathering, you should know that something like this is tend to happen. And if the building is an old building, it's worse.
There was even an accident of the same, like when a lady went into her room to sleep, and then the water tanker fall into the roof, and then just like that is really saddening. I don't really know, but I feels like whatever this is around, they are trying to use to build house, whatever equipment, like it really needs to be times 100 of it. Very strong. That ah, well, it's really a tragic one.
All right, moving on forward. Passenger lament fare hike amid fuel price cuts. CNG. Nigeria have continued to lament the sustained hike in transportation fare despite the reduction in fuel pump price and the introduction of compressed natural gas for both commercial and private transportation, an alternative to the premium motor spirit. 31 passengers who spoke with our correspondent across major parks in Lagos State lamented at the exorbitant fuel fare occasioned by the various transport unions. The passenger said fare remained unaffordable since the premium motor spirit went as high as 1,200 naira per litre, with fare hike close to 400% since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu assumed office. Findings by the correspondent shows that the commercial transport has paid three stationary levies in every park, depending on the leadership of the park and states.
Well, this one is not even an, or how will I say, something that we are not used to in Nigeria, because the moment that there is a price hike in anything, even if that even if that price has already come down, you're still going to see people that will say that, this one I have already buy it, like in a bulk. I have buy it in a bulk. So until it has finished, before I could say that when I buy another one that is now the regular amount, then I can reduce the price. I don't want to lose the gain and all that. So that thing is really, really common in Nigeria, that it feels like, the moment there is price hike, and then even if the price has come down, we still don't want it to go into losses because we have already spent money into buying it in bulk.
We're in a country whereby even though you reduce a particular, I tell you, anything that goes up in this country, it takes time for it to come back to its actual price and remain the way it is. That's one of the issues we're always having in this country. All right, moving up to our next story we have for you um, from Vanguard. Confusion as government agency shuts down Banana Island gates. Barely 7 days after the Independent Bridge closure saga, there was a similar gridlock yesterday following the closure of the entry and exit gate of Banana Island, located at the Ikoyi area of Lagos State. The closure carried out by a government agency led to a lockdown at the Lekki-Ajah axis, Parkview Estate, for sure, and some of the parts of Ikoyi, as motorists spent several hours on the road. Residents and visitors were prevented from entering and leaving as well. It was gathered that the shutdown was due to the proposed demolition of the Banana Clubhouse. In a viral video, motorists were seen stranded in the estate with some men manning the gate to the estate. However, there were uh, contradictory, um, contradictory claims about the government agency responsible for the development. While some attributed it to agency of the federal government, others said agencies of the state government were responsible. When contacted, officials of the Lagos State Building Control Agency (LAPCA) debunked involvement in this operation. Well, I think this is another sin to me, because having having demolished and repair the international Independence Bridge, we are having another dreadlock when it comes to transportation, traffic, and everything. Closing the Banana Island gate is another major.
Well, people are living there, and then how do you expect them to go into their various homes? If you are trying to prevent dreadlock or traffic from not happening, you should have allowed people that are already on their gate exits, that you should allow them to go in, not for you to close them. Because if you close them, you're going to cause more traffic. You are trying to prevent traffic. It's not for you to close gate to most people's entry to their various home. Those people, if they got their home, it can prevent, because the moment they see how the traffic is, some will not even want it to come out. Even if those that are going to for a visit, they will not want it to come out again. It will just prevent that. But you closing the gate to Banana Island is just as if that you are trying to cause more problem instead of you trying to prevent it.
Well, I think this so many people have decided to come outside and say it's not their
They'll definitely say
they
it's not their own.
it's not their they are not involved in, even the last lab car have come out and say they are not involved in it. I think the federal government knows, and for them to it was the government officials that went there. We don't know the officials that really went there to lock and close the gates, but we expect more feedback on that story.
Exactly.
All right, tariff for US claims Nigerian over import banned on 25 items. The US government has faulted Nigerian import ban of 25 items, saying the restrictions are limiting market access for American exporters. This comes barely a week after President Donald Trump announced sweeping tariffs on goods entering the US, with Nigeria getting 14%. In a post on X on Monday, US Trade Representative USTR highlighted what is described as unfair trade practices faced by American exporters. Nigerian imports ban of 25 different product categories impacts US exporters, particularly in agriculture, pharmaceutical, beverages, and consumer goods. Restrictions of items like beef, pork, poultry, fresh food, fruit juice, medicaments, spirits limits, US market access, and reduce export opportunities. Well, I think this is actually what is actually what the US are actually lacking when it comes to their own part of the country. I think they don't have enough agriculture there. They don't
Yes.
have enough food there. So this is what they really export, and they believe importing this into their country, the exporters are really cheating them because they are paying much for this, and they expect them to have one kind of reduction in this, and now they are thinking of increasing their own tariff to make things.
Fourteen
But this is
percent.
business.
Well, Nigeria's own tariff is still under 25 or 28% for the US, while the US are trying to increase their own into 14 percent. I feel like this one is actually a fair judgment because it's not as if that the US actually come out to hike their tariff into 35% and says that we are going to be increasing it more than you guys. But it's actually a fair try. But at the same time, I feel this thing of a Nigerian trying to has more benefit, and then when they know that this person is in need of whatever we are importing into their country, but yet we still wanted to make more profits from it. It's just as if that if you don't want, then we can take back our goods.
Well, that's actually the US. For US are very known to their business idea and everything. All right, moving on to our next story from Vanguard. Three dead, many injured as Delta communities clash land over land ownership. A renowned land dispute between Ojiakuta community of Ugo Kingdom, Ugeli North, and Uto Ewo community of Ugeli South local government area of Delta State has led to death of three persons, which many others injured. Videos contained by Vanguard show Ojiekuta community youth retrieve the corpse of a young man identified as Andy amidst women wailing and men threatening reprisal. The video also shows a barricaded Ejikuta Ewu Road by angry youths. Wow. Through information which was sketchy at press time, it was learned that both communities had long been claiming ownership of a stretch of land in the area, which is currently being litigated upon all the state high courts sitting in Utu Jeremy. Vanguard gathered that two casualties were reported from Ejikuta, while one person from Ewu was killed while transiting back home with through Ejikuta. A community source said this issue of land ownership between the communities is a matter already at the state high court in Jeremy, and while we are supposed to be in court in April 10. Wow, I think this this land issues when it comes to land ownership, communities having issue about a particular land, and this is more dangerous than having a particular person dragging over a land with a particular person. It's more dangerous because the community will feel, oh, this is what they feel, this is their entitlement. Just like the war that happened during the Delta and Anambra time, where they were still fighting for the Niger Bridge. Who has the Niger Bridge? Who doesn't have the Niger? Because it was that Niger Bridge alone that demarcated the two states from themselves. I think this issue, it should be what the government, the Delta State governor or the commissioner in charge of Delta State needs to really look into this issue, because if he doesn't take this issue serious now, it will lead to more casualties and so many people will be feared dead. having this issue already in court, and we're having killings already. Means
Mhm.
they are not even afraid of the court's rules or anything.
Well, to me, I feel like fighting over a land that you know that may you're not even going to live long enough the way the earth has already lived long enough to, and then you're still trying to fight over it. It's just something that feels like human is not. How will I say it? They are not even ready to face the reality because this land of a thing is either you say that it's our forefathers that how will I even say that step in that land first, or it's all as if that this thing has been coming a part of how us that we can still fight for it ages upon ages. The grandchildren that are coming, they're still going to fight for it that this land belongs to, and I don't really understand. Your grandfather that was there that fought for it is no longer alive, and then he passed on the same how will I say the same propaganda into your head, tell you how this thing come out, and then you too you are coming to fight for it instead of focusing on something else.
All right, moving on forward to our next story from Vanguard. NSA warned against ransom payments to terrorists, kidnappers, and others. The Nigerian Security Advisor (NSA) Malam Nuhu Ribadu yesterday warned against payment of ransom to terrorists, kidnappers and other criminals. He gave the warning while receiving a fresh batch of over 60 rescued victims who have been in kidnappers' den for over a month following intense military pressure in Kaduna. The victim, among whom was a deputy director in the civil service and a relative of Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, all hail from Zango, Kataf in southern Kaduna. Speaking shortly before heading over the rescue victim, comprising 35 males and 29 females, as well as children, to the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Abubakar Ribadu, advised Nigerian, especially families of kidnappers victims, to stop paying ransom to kidnappers.
If you're
So,
going to be saying that we should stop paying ransom to, people are going to be losing their life. And then the government are not even ready to fight this insecurity, the kidnappers in the country, the how will I say, the terrorists in the country. The more we think that the government has to do something positive, the more they keep letting us down. Okay, you say that we should not pay terrorists and kidnappers ransom. Then how are those people being tracked down? Because I found out that in the Western country, if there is going to be anything like kidnapper, you find that those people's phone have been thrown away. They don't carry it along because they know that there's going to be a tracker. But in Nigeria here, you are going to they will even use that person's phone to call, and then there's still no track until the ransom is being paid. Even if you report it to the police, how are the governments helping us? Now, if you find out in X in Twitter, you're going to see that social medias are now contributing money to rescue those that are being kidnapped. That is very very tragic for us in Nigeria, especially the leaders that are not doing anything. Okay, we should not pay ransom to kidnappers, but we are still kidnapping. We are being kidnapped every day by day. People are losing their life. If you don't pay on time, your family, your daughter, your husband is going to be killed. And then you say we should not pay ransom. How do
well,
you expect us to overcome this?
Well, if the federal government, if the NSA believes we shouldn't be paying ransom to kidnappers or criminals, I think they should provide a better alternative to be able to tackle this issue of kidnapping and criminal activities before it even gets to the family of the person being kidnapped or something. Because if there's a better measure, better way to prevent all this situation wouldn't happen at all. I tell you. All right, viewers, thank you for joining us today on the Breakfast Show. I've been your host, Steven. I hope you enjoyed today's program. Be sure to share, like, and don't forget to subscribe on all our social media platforms for updates as it happens around you. Until next time, for now, say bye.